Hello and welcome to Rocket League Basic Rotations. Today I'm going to explain how all the roles and positions and zones in Rocket League, and I'm going to explain everything, and dumb it down as much as possible. If you have any questions on anything, please leave a comment below. Also, if you want a coaching session with me, you can add my Discord, and it's going to be right here written on the screen. So we're going to go right ahead, and I'm going to explain the zones in Rocket League. So when you're the orange team and you're on defense, this zone here is the most safe area in the game. If the ball is there and you have a player to challenge, you're safe. You don't have nothing to worry about. If you're saving a ball, you want to put that ball in the corner because it is very hard to score in the corner. Another zone is the highway. This is the fastest way towards the net, on the opposing net, and on your own net. So that's why it's very important to rotate on the small pads. On offense, this zone is where you want the ball to be, because if you take a shot from here, it's very easy to score. And if you're on defense for the other team, you want to avoid getting the ball here as much as possible because it's a very dangerous area. So now I'm going to explain the roles and position of everyone on the field. So we're going to start with first man on offense. So first man on offense, his only job is actually to beat two players. If he's able to beat two players, then he's done his job and he set up the ball for the second man. If he beats one player, it's fine. That's the bare minimum. And if he loses, it's fine because everyone's in a good position. But your goal is to beat two players, and that's why the best players in the world as first man are really mechanical. Having mechanics is the best thing for a first man. He's able to set up plays. He's able to use his creativity to, just set up the second man. So that could be just out dribbling the first man, then going on the backboard and making a pass in the middle for the second man, or simple enough, just a 50-50 that goes in the middle and that beats two players. It could be very simple or very complex, but first man is not difficult to play. Where it gets very difficult is second man. This position is probably the most complex in the entire game. You have a lot going on, and your position is a mix of offense and defense. So this is your zone of coverage. Anything that's even to you or in front of you is your zone of coverage. So I'm going to give you an example here. The ball goes all the way across and passes this line here. If you see this ball is going to pass this line, you should just rotate back and this player is going to get it because he's facing forward. If he doesn't, it's going to look like this. So the player realizes that the ball is going to pass him, and he still keeps going, and the third man also goes for the ball. And then he hits the ball awkwardly because the ball passed him, and then the ball pops backwards. This player cuts it because he's going to protect that zone now, and he beats the third man, and he's left alone. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. So scenario number 2. Player number 1 smacks the ball across. And at this point here, you realize that the ball is going to die in the corner. So then you go ahead for the ball because it is forward. Player number 1 goes middle. Player number 3 goes at this point here. And now we have everyone covering everything. We're threatening the middle. We're covering the third. And the first man is now in a good position to set it up. Now, another scenario that happens quite often. Player number 1 smacks the ball on the backboard, and it's very high. The ball is very high, close to the ceiling. And the best touch you can do is literally like a double touch from the ceiling into the net. That's the best touch you can do. You can't directly shoot it. It's very awkward. Most players will make that mistake of going. But what you need to do is say, okay, my touch is dog shit. So I'm going to go back, rotate, and let my third man go up and take that shot. Because he's facing forward and he has a better angle at a double tap as shooting top right, top left, whatever. Right? So if the ball beats you, rotate back, your third man's there to support you. Now, another thing, and this is a very common mistake, especially from GC1 and under, okay? Player 1 here makes a shit pass right here. And you realize that this pass, you're going to lose to this player here. He's going to beat you 100%. But players from GC1 under, they just still dive because they want to apply pressure. So then what happened is this player did his challenge, he's creeping up the wall. Player number 2 here goes for it but loses, pass up. Player number 3 is here, usually rotating back towards the middle. He turns back, and this player is now left alone on a 2v1 because you dove. But let's say instead our player gives a shit pass again. Second man hits the ball. You realize that you lose. You rotate mid. Pass. Third man pushes at the moment you rotate back, and he blocks that pass. And then you are safe behind. This player rotates that way, and we keep our rotation going. Another good thing to know as a second man is where to be positioned during a pass. So what I see often is players playing very, very, very close, like around here. So when the player gives him a pass, they have no angle to shoot but from there. And a shot from here is not really threatening. Another thing I see is that they're very, very far away. And if he gives a bad pass here, then you can't really reach it. So you want to be in the good in-between. So this is why the highway exists. So you see this little line here, it's a little dot line. All those dot lines is where you want to drive. So if this player is literally on the wall with the ball on top of his head, you want to be driving on this line. Reason being that if he does a bad pass, I want to grab the ball here, he does a bad pass, you can get it. If he does a good pass, you're perfectly positioned for it. And if he overpasses it, you have time to jump and possibly, with good mechanics, I'm trying to grab the ball, with good mechanics, jump, get the ball, and try to do a double tap in the corner here and set up in the middle. Another thing I notice, when the player number 1 here, I'm going to toss this guy away for now. When the player number 1 on the blue team has the ball on top of his head, they drive close to them. You still want to keep that distance in the perfect middle. So if he's dribbling here, you want to be in the highway and the right side for the same reason of bad pass, good pass, and overpass. Now, another thing, let's say player number 1 keeps the ball, beats this player by dribbling around him, and now he's on the backboard. Another thing I see is players going here. It's very, very difficult to make a drop pass here, and even if he does, it's a very easy save for the second man because he just needs to drive forward. But if the second man decides to shift into the other side of the highway and makes a pass across, it's more difficult for him to block it, and much easier pass to do and a much easier shot to do as well. So that's it for second man. Think of second man as you're supporting third man when you can't make a play on offense. If you can make a play on offense, it better be scoring or keeping pressure. Now, third man. There's 2 things you have to take into account as a third man. You can only push in when one of the player rotates back or when it's a free hit. So let's say the ball here gets smacked and this player is here and you know he can touch the ball here. Don't push in, because if you do push in, you're the last line of defense. So if he's able to turn around, hit it around you, then there's no one back. And you break all the rotation that you guys have, and it makes it very, very awkward. A very common mistake is that players play third man here on the big boost, or they're very, very pushed in, and then this player gets a good clear above your head, or the ball goes here and he dunks it above you, and then you get beaten, and then there's a goal. So make sure the only time you push in is when you 100% have the ball, or when one of your player rotates back. So this line here is where you need to be. Anything behind this, you're in a good position. So keep in mind of the rotation I showed you earlier. So the scenario number 1 and number 2 that I showed you earlier with the second man, where the ball goes across, this player is still forward, right? And this player is going to go forward. And when you notice that these players are still deep and they're not rotating back, you still want to stay on this line. So you drive on this line into the next. So make sure to be very, very patient as a third man. I know the ball pulls you and has this law of attraction, but be patient, it's going to pay off. Most people, especially in Grand Champ, the only reason why they're stuck in GC1 or GC2, it's not mechanics, it's really because they play this position wrong. They play it too aggressive. They try to score in this position. But in this position, your only responsibility is to keep pressure in offense and to defend your net. That's all. Your purpose is not to score unless the ball hits high backboard and this player rotates back, and then this player becomes third man and you become second man. And that's because your role changes. So now we're going to go in the orange team. So first man on orange team is the one going for the ball. So as a first man, you want to make sure that you're a psychopath and you go for that ball and you challenge him. If you're afraid and you hesitate to challenge, it's going to be an issue for your teammates. Because if you don't force the ball to go above your car or at least into the corner, it's going to make it very difficult for your second man to make a save. So let's say, for example, you hesitate or you let him the time of day to beat and go around you, and now he has the ball. You made it very easy for him to set up his second man and to beat this player as well, right? But if you force him and you make him jump or you make him shoot into that corner and it bounces out, this player can now get it, a free shot, right? Remember that the corner is your friend. The corner is part of your defense. So I'm going to give you an example here. Something I love to do, especially as a first man. You notice that you're going to 100% lose this challenge. Because player number 1 here has the ball on top of his car, full possession, and you know he can flick it however he wants. So what you want to do here is you just want to drive and go for a demo. So that's going to force him to flick the ball into the corner or shoot the ball into the corner. And then because you're still in control, you can go grab this boost, or you can keep going, wait on the wall, and you're not out of position or committed to a movement. And the ball will hit the corner, go towards your second man, and he's going to be able to smack the ball towards you, and you're going to catch it and go on a 2-on-1 possibly. Right? So that's it for first man. Don't hesitate, force the play. Doesn't matter if you get beat, just make sure you force their player to do something. Second man. Okay? Very important that you know that your zone of coverage is not that big actually. It's more this low back wall, low backboard here above your net, and a bit in front of the net. A common mistake that I see players do as second man is that they drive directly behind. And they assume that this player is going to be behind them right away. So if this player gets a good 50 and the ball goes mid, or if this player gets beaten, right, and then he goes wall and passes it right away, then you're screwed, because then you have to turn around and make that save. And trust me, we've all been in that scenario. We've all been awkward like that. It happens to everyone. But be sure and make sure to be very patient. If you have a player in the corner here, Do not cross this line. Do not cross this line. Okay? Reason being, if you just chill here and the ball goes mid, save. Ball goes backboard here, save. The ball goes directly towards net, save. Because you're always facing the play. It makes it very easy to play the game. You need a lot less mechanics to just drive forward and jump forward and hit the ball forward. Now, as a third man on defense, you have the most important role in the rotation. If you play this poorly, your team is going to suffer from it. So as a third man, what you want to look for is you're going to see if your first man's in the corner and if your second man is in net. If they both are, you do not need to hurry back. You are just going to drive and follow the pace of the play. And when I say follow the pace of the play, it's follow the pace until these two players are going to 50 the ball or get a challenge. So when they're going to have the 50, you're going to be arriving in the middle and cover the middle. Reason being that if the 50 goes mid, you're blocking this. You're blocking the mid. You can even demo the player. If player number 1 on the orange team wins the ball and it goes here, then you can turn and possibly clear the ball into their corner or get offensive pressure now. A common mistake that I see is that players rotate way too quickly back, and then this player, the second man, pushes here. And then we leave all this area open for them. So make sure you drive slowly, you cover the middle, and you block that pass. Another thing you cover as a third man is the high backboard. So if player number 1 on the other team smacks the ball high backboard, then you're going to be the person to go up and hit it in the corner. The reason why it's the third man that does it and not the second man is because you're facing the play. Your aerial forward is much easier than this player's aerial above his head. Another good side note to have is you don't want to be flipping for no reason. You always want to be in control of your car. If you flip and you're committed to a position, so let's say you flip from here to here, and your number 1 player wins the ball and puts it here, you won't be able to turn because you're committed in your flip towards the middle. Okay? So always make sure to be in control of your car. All right, so now I'm going to explain to you how you want to play your transition from defense to offense. And this is mostly for third man because second man, first man kind of fluctuates sometimes, like depending on who has boost and doesn't have boost. But third man, like it's very important that he plays perfectly exactly how I'm going to tell you to, because if he doesn't, I'm going to explain to you why it's really bad. So let's say the ball is inside your zone, from the middle to inside your zone. You want to make sure to be able to stay inside your net or grab the 12 boost pad here, because if player number 1 here hits the ball and goes directly on net and you're driving in the corner to get boost, then that's a goal. Even if you drive, I'm not even kidding, if you drive up to here and the ball goes directly on net, it's a goal. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's how crazy that position is. It needs to be perfect. So you want to stay literally on this small boost pad here, 12, and you're waiting until your number 1 player passes the middle to be able to upgrade yourself to this boost pad here. Okay? So then first man arrives to this point here, and second man follows. Then congratulations, you can now move on here, and you can keep going and follow the pace. And you're just driving. You're never flipping forward. Let's say, and the other reason, the same reason as before, as let's say first man here, right, goes for the ball, he challenges, and you flip forward to here. Yes, you're technically going to the right place, but because you're flipping and you're committed to your flip, if he wins, you're stuck in that position. Even if the ball goes in the corner, you're stuck going forward. So you can't turn and get the ball. Make sure to just drive. Be patient. You're going to feel the game is slower, but that's the goal. Always be facing the play. So now the play goes here, then you can, and until the ball goes into the deep area, which is like this corner here, you can go to the small boost pad, and everything I explained earlier on the offensive third man applies. Now, if you have any questions, please comment below, and I'll try my best to explain. If you want me to do replay reviews, please message me on Discord. Thank you very much, and like the video.